From Channel 4, WTAE-TV in Pittsburgh, this is Action News.
Welcome to Channel 4 News. I'm Benjamin Horvath.
And I'm Jake Edwards. Tonight's top story, your garbage is no longer safe.
Jake is on the affirmative with that one, kids. If you thought your garbage could hide your deepest, darkest secrets, then you were totally wrong. Case in point, observe Mr. Russell Patrick, a Calgary native.
Local authorities received a phone call from Petrocraft Products employee Carolyn Bazine on May 9th of 2003. This call indicates suspicious activity regarding a transaction with a man by the name of Chris. And he was representing a company known as Alex Consulting. The account with the company was set up in 2002. Since then, they've been ordering lots of chemical ingredients that were commonly found in a product known as MSM, or as the kids call it these days, ecstasy, and that's illegal. The most recent transaction accused Mr. Patrick who operated under the fake identity of Chris, as he paid for $4,800 worth of sodium, cyanide, hydrate, and $100 bill denominations. The Calgary police conducted 6 legally unauthorized searches on separate occasions in December of 2003, where they found evidence of ecstasy production and on the final occasion.
The garbage was inside Mr. Patrick's property line, forcing the authorities to reach over the boundary to claim the bins. This formed the basis of the argument that Mr. Patrick had in this landmark case. He says that such unauthorized investigating breached Charter Section 8, the right to be secure against unreasonable search or seizure. Furthermore, allegations had been made that Mr. Patrick was unlawfully denied when requesting the presence of a warrant when the police were conducting a legally authorized search of his residence, later arresting him.
Now we go live to Caucasian correspondent Connor McEwen, who has an interview with the ever-elusive Russell Patrick.
Thanks, Jake. Now, Russell, why do you feel your charter rights have been violated?
Well, Connor, you see, the search of my property was clearly unreasonable. That garbage was clearly on my property. They had no warrant to search it, clearly no right to search it, and so they went on and they took it, and they had no right to do so.
Fair enough. No need to get feisty now. When they came to arrest you, what happened?
Well, I asked the arresting officer to show me a warrant, and that's when they really took it over the top, because he refused to show it to me, and now he just says, like, oh, I don't remember that, but clearly another rights have been infringed, Section 8 again, and just over the top right there.
Wow, that's awful. One thing, do you really have an ecstasy lab in your home?
Well, yeah, but my rights have been infringed.
Does someone grabbing your garbage really excuse you from running an ecstasy lab?
Yeah, they can take away my rights, they can take away everyone's rights.
You are aware that there's a reasonable limits clause and that this limits your rights. I think it was made for reasons like this.
Doesn't matter, I'm innocent.
Okay, well, there you have it. Back to you, Ben.
Thanks, Connor. Now it's time for a new segment of the show, Legal Precedent with Ben Horvath.
Good on, mates. I'm Benjamin Horvath, and tonight, you know what? This is ridiculous. This doesn't even make sense. This is the Canadian legal system. Why would they want to hear from a freaking Australian? What the hell are you guys thinking?
Okay, Ben, fine, just go. We're live, we're rolling.
This whole fiasco with Russell Patrick case serves to stir up some good old memories. Another garbage case, to be precise. Tim Hortons experienced a debacle of tremendous proportions when a 10-year-old girl found an unrolled disposable coffee cup. The events that transpired was as follows. The girl asked for assistance from her peer, 12 years of age, to roll up the rim for her as she was unable to display the necessary dexterity.
As if fate was ironically predetermined, the cup had garnered them a new Toyota RAV4. Then it went downhill from there. The girl, the one who discovered it, informed her parents accordingly, and her peer did so with hers. And then, the janitor who threw up the cup in the first place claimed it as his own. Legal debacles ensued, like madness. Conflict between the three parties began.
and a DNA test was about to occur when Tim Horton stepped in and provided a certain finality to the conflict. They awarded it to the discoverer, a child so apt in the art of entrepreneurship that she was rewarded with a car she could not possibly use. Well, excuse my hasty rant, but I was trying to illustrate some semblance of a point. This provides a precedent, albeit a unique one, that is indicative of the state of ownership over one's garbage, or rather that there isn't any. The trash belonged to the one who had the gall to collect it, and one would think that this precedent would not transcend a public agency such as the police. Anywho, now to Jake for, you know what really grinds my gears.
Thanks, Ben. You know what really grinds my gears? Russell Patrick and turning this thing into a charter rights complaint. Is this guy nuts? First of all, the guy is running an ecstasy lab. That's illegal. Second of all, he threw evidence of an ecstasy lab into his garbage. Third of all, he's making a complaint about this because the police are your government agency and your garbage gets taken away by the government anyways. So it's the same thing. So this guy has no right to be making a complaint like this. And fourth of all, he's running an illegal ecstasy lab. That's what really grinds my gears.
I'm now accompanied by local legal consultant Ben Horvath. Now, Ben Horvath, first things first, what was Mr. Patrick being allegedly at fault of?
Not allegedly. He is at fault of perpetrating a number of crimes against the Crown. He's committed illegal acts found under Section 4, possibly Section 5, and Section 7 of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act of 1996. Respectively, that is, possession, trafficking, and production of illegal substances. He has claimed that such charges were laid at the expense of Charter Rights Section 8, the protection from unreasonable search and seizure that results from a lack of legal authorization. This has transformed a simple case regarding the operation of an ecstasy lab into a huge debacle. A winding labyrinth of legal jabber and hocus pocus.
I guess we know where you stand. Why did Mr. Patrick claim his Section 8 rights were violated?
For two reasons. First, he allegedly claimed to have requested to view the warrant at the time of the investigation of his residence by local police, only to be denied. Secondly, a fundamental breach was apparent in the lack of a warrant to enter the premises, albeit only with their arms, and only to search the garbage bins on 6 different occasions with no official legal authorization. Now, I can wholeheartedly disagree with this on the basis that the government constituencies, such as garbage collectors, are tasked with the handling of one's own property that lies in their trash with no reasonable dissent in society. The government can be seen as a public operation. Thus, the transfer of one's property from residence by public constituency is a social accepted norm.
You raise a good point. Moving on, do people today in modern society have a reasonable expectation over their garbage?
Well, Connor, it depends on the people you're referring to. In regard to those that believe their garbage forever dwells in anonymity, then I think not. Their contents are open to the public as soon as the expectation of its removal cultivates. From a legal perspective, it can be viewed as significantly detrimental for the police force and other enforcement agencies to be prevented from carrying out its justice to those who possess evidence in their refuse that clearly demonstrates their guilt in crimes. If Mr. Patrick were to prevail, it would set an ironic precedent, as it is the law that enforces the ideals that go towards the betterment of a free and democratic society. National principles that should not be rebuked by a boundary that is crossed every day by public service agencies that hold the interests of society at heart. To think, a precedent such as that would protect a man who hides corpses in his own trash. He would be legally immune, and justice would not be served.
So to clarify, you believe that Section 8 protects every search and seizure with no regards to police affairs against the activities of the citizen?
No. Reasonable limits should be applied as the protection of the society as a whole would be held in the greater interest of the fulfillment of this objective. The police force is the government's method of combating anarchy and actions that defy the norm and which have a negative impact on the Canadian populace. If the judge renders a guilty verdict on Mr. Patrick, it would reflect the needs and the liberties that only come with an established and lawful authority. Freedoms for a nation to not only rid narcotics, but life as well, in similar cases involving homicide.
A select group voices concerns that Mr. Patrick maintained reasonable expectations over his privacy. I assume you disagree?
Yes, from a pragmatic stance. One can discern that it is dangerous to not lay charges based on evidence garnered from the trash. The precedents would hide many illegal doings, activities that deny societal norms and lead to a detrimental effect on Canada's populace. Here's my advice to the judge presiding over the case. Convict Mr. Patrick. Bypass fictional boundaries and uphold the protection of Canadians
from drugs such as ecstasy.
Great, thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure.
In the end, it was found that the search of Patrick's home was lawful, denying any alleged claim of charter right infringements. This led him to being found guilty of the associated criminal charges. In an appeal to the Alberta Court of Appeal, there was a 2-to-1 ruling where the majority dictated the charges should be maintained. Russell Patrick finally petitioned the Supreme Court of Canada to review his case. They have heard his case but have reserved judgment thus far, providing no conclusive ruling to be rendered. Now a song from our sponsor.
Yeah. No Croft. No sock. Have you ever been hated or discriminated against? I have. Police looking through my garbage evidence of an ecstasy lab. Police creating commotion, getting a warrant, worried about my lab exploding. Now my temper's flaring cause my privacy's breached. Section 8 of the charter, unreasonable search and seizure. Now I'm giving them hell as I'm suing for these charter rights they infringing, taking names of cases with president cause I'm not going to jail. So what I had an ecstasy lab, the search was unreasonable. When I'm done, these cops will be looking for me, yeah, they'll be sick of me now. These cops will look ridiculous now.
Sorry, Russell. Just wanted to arrest you. Just want to send you to jail. So tonight we're looking through your garbage. I'm sorry, Russell.
Every day I see my dream. 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 Every day I see my every day I see my dream. Every day I see my dream. Every day I see my dream. Every day I see my every day I see my dream.